Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you about one-man army noob tubes in Modern Warfare 2 and if they should be allowed to return to Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Unfortunately, the gameplay you're watching right now is some older gameplay that I pulled from a different video because I could not get a single match in Modern Warfare 2. I booted up my Xbox 360 and tried, but I couldn't get a single match and a single playlist, so I'm going with some older banked gameplay. But based on numerous leaks, it seems that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is coming sometime in the next 6 weeks. I believe the launch date was April 30th, according to the leak on the Italian Amazon website, and a few internal leaks, and that's just all the big rumors, and while I don't want to fully believe it, it does seem pretty likely at this point. But the question is, should one-man army noob tubes be removed from Modern Warfare 2 Remastered if that becomes a thing? The same debate came up in Modern Warfare Remastered about stopping power and Juggernaut, and about the post-death helicopters, because you could die and call in your helicopter and it could potentially earn you an entirely new helicopter. Raven ultimately decided that remastering the game meant staying true to its original design, including the flaws. However, in the case of MW2R, the flaws were far less game-breaking than in Modern Warfare 2. In Modern Warfare 2's heyday, one-man army noob tubes were the most game-breaking thing in any multiplayer game ever up to that point, and even in now, modern days, it's considered one of the most game-breaking mechanics in any game ever. For those of you that weren't around for Modern Warfare 2 days, the noob tubes were a lot stronger then than they have been in any COD game since then. That was at their peak of strength. They're probably 3 to 4 times more powerful than any of today's tubes, if not 5 or 6. Today's tubes are kind of weird. They don't seem to do damage or kill people outside of a direct hit. But in this game, even without danger close, if you hit in the room, somebody's going to die. They also didn't require any special class or for you to give up a perk slot or anything like that. They were just a straight-on attachment that you could slap onto the gun along with multiple other attachments. Danger Close, which did affect the damage of the noob tubes, would increase their damage and lethal radius by 40%, making them a one-shot kill almost anywhere you get a hit marker. They could also be refilled by Scavenger pretty easily, or most notably, One-Man Army, which did have a drawback that you don't get a secondary weapon, but instead you get a bag that you pull out and very slowly swap guns with. You swap to a different class, or to the same class, or to any One-Man Army class, and you can swap back and forth infinitely. And in doing so, running any multitude of attachments, you could get infinite insta-kill grenades that just are super easy to shoot and blow people up across the map with. People practiced and got good with them. I literally never played Search and Destroy because I got tired of getting spawn tubed and blown up. I got killed by so many different tubes, I feel like I got PTSD from it. So knowing that you could do that, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of players at the time did do that thing, some of them on a daily basis. They would just simply shoot their tubes randomly and swap classes with One-Man Army and get a whole new set of tubes and get ready to go. There were untold hordes of players who literally never fired a single bullet in their entire playtime of the game, at least in multiplayer, and they would just do tubes only. That's their only class. They would do it every single game. Their combat record was all sorts of crazy. They didn't even level anything up else prestiging. They would just go in through tubes all day, every single day. There was no flak jacket perk to save you either. They did have a blast shield, which was like a mask that you toggled down and pulled on and off, but it was annoying because it disabled radar and it added a little bit of obstruction to your field of vision, so almost nobody used that, and you had to give up your tactical grenades in order to take that. There was no Juggernaut or anything like that either, so there was basically no counter for it and no way to survive a grenade when you got hit. Ground War, which was an awesome mode in a lot of ways, unfortunately was about 50% of all players using tubes only, and any normal mode, from Team Deathmatch, Regular Deathmatch, Domination, CTF, even third person or whatever, you'd have somewhere between 10 to 25%, which 25 would mean a quarter of the lobby, using noob tubes only. The game was just constant explosions going off, and you could say that Modern Warfare 2 kept it real or kept it hardcore or didn't appeal to casuals or whatever, but it was really hard to get streaks in that game with all the tubers. It was really hard to do well. It was in many ways hard to be rewarded for playing well because you could just get blown up by a tuber from some random direction and they would just refresh and get more tubes, and it was really frustrating. interesting. There was a patch coming for this. That was the last thing that we heard before Infinity Ward split up, is that they were working on a patch to completely rebalance this and remove it and make it a more sane mechanic. But that's when the lawsuits kicked in. That's when Activision stepped in and things got crazy, and Infinity Ward ultimately chose to split up. So we're back to the main question of, if we're getting Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which does seem likely, should one-man army danger close noob tubes be banned? And the answer is twofold. You can either say yes to make the game playable, or no for historical reasons. We'll take a look at the no's first. If you're in the no camp, you most likely believe that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered should stay as close to the original Modern Warfare 2 as possible, especially since it's considered the best in the series when it comes to campaign. Well, I don't know, Black Ops has done pretty well, but they have a lot of iconic characters. It is considered very good. Multiplayer was considered excellent. Modern weapons was considered excellent. Overall balance, minus the tubes, was often considered excellent. Hit detection was considered excellent. So many things about the game were considered excellent. There's a lot of people that don't want to change that, and that's a very valid line of reasoning. Also, in changing things up, that opens up Pandora's box for all sorts of unwanted balance changes, including microtransactions and loot box and new stuff, and rebalancing your favorite gun and making it not cool anymore, and some things that a lot of players also wouldn't want. And there's also the belief in the COD community and a lot of gaming communities that players should just sort of get good and adapt to whatever they're given. You play in whatever meta of a game that you get, and you learn to play that game instead of crying about it to make it easier or to appeal to your biases. Or if you can't beat the tubers, just join the tubers and counter tube. I did my fair share of counter tubing as well. If you're in the yes camp on should they be banned, the reasons would be that the game will launch in an almost unplayable state if one-man army tubes come back, or at least it would be fair to say that it will launch in a state that will turn away over half of the potential players for the game. And I personally believe, this is not a fact, but it's just something that I believe, that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is going to have loot boxes and new maps and events and all that stuff anyway, just like Modern Warfare Remastered did. So why not get some much needed balance changes as well? There are some weapons that weren't very good. There were some weapons ridiculously overpowered, like the one-man army noob tubes. Some soft touches could make an excellent game, maybe one of the best games of all time, into the best game of all time if done properly. That's what a lot of the yes people will believe, and I'm going to offer you my personal opinion, and it's on the yes, they should be balanced, banned, removed, have something done with them. It needs to be fixed in one of three ways. You can either remove danger close entirely, because that's a very annoying perk that just makes everybody spam explosives more dangerous. You can make one-man army plus noob tubes a class that you cannot create in the game. Same thing with scavenger plus tubes. You just can't do that combination and create a class. Or simply make it to where one-man army and scavenger don't refill the tubes. That would be the easiest thing possible, to where nothing in the game will refill your tubes and you don't get infinite explosives. Personally, if Modern Warfare 2 Remastered comes out and this is not changed in some way, I'm probably not going to play it, at least not very much, because it's probably going to be nothing but noob tubes. I might be able to get a couple of good games in like the first couple of days, but once you get like the players that play every day and this is their main game, they settle in, the tubes are going to come out and it's going to get a lot less fun, and you're going to find me somewhere else, because I'm not going to sit there and get tubed and get blown up all day. Guys, that is all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.